I'm William Holtz, and you're now watching this week's high school football weekly wrap-up show presented by LakeTV Sports. All 5 of our coverage teams were in action Friday, and we'll start with 2 of them in the same game. It was a Tri-County Conference matchup when the California Pintos and Elden Mustangs squared off in a back-and-forth thriller. The Mustangs pulled to a 16-0 lead and even had a big safety from senior Graham Bockham after the Mustangs fumbled at the California 2-yard line. However, even after building a 16-0 lead, the Mustangs failed to keep the pressure on, and California owned the second half, outscoring Elden 28-7. California sophomore quarterback Jacob Wolken had a dream night, finishing with over 300 yards and 5 touchdown passes. Yeah, you heard me correctly, folks. 5 touchdown passes. 2 of those went to senior Landon Mouse, and the other 3 belonged to Josh Woodruff. Woodruff finished with 4 catches for 125 yards, and of course, his 3 scores. Levi Shen led the Mustangs with 165 yards and 2 scores, although he did cough up 2 game-changing fumbles. The Mustangs, losers of 3 straight, fell to 1-3 on the season. Coach Jolly's squad gets back to action Friday when they hope home cooking is just what the doctor ordered, as they'll host the winless Wildcats from Warsaw. California, winners of 2 straight games, they're going to host Hallsville on Friday. In our game of the week, Camdenton lost their 3rd consecutive game to the undefeated Kickapoo Chiefs by a final score of 41-12. The Lakers got scores on a Jay Griffith run and a Parker Stidham touchdown reception from quarterback Dylan Decker right before the first half concluded. These were a few of the bright spots for Camdenton on the night. To add insult to injury for the big loss, the Lakers will be without head coach Jeff Shore this Friday at Parkview. Shore, who was ejected in the loss against Kickapoo, will serve a 1-game suspension per MISHA rules for the ejection he earned while arguing with the officials. Camdenton coach said he likes the fight in this team and thinks they can build off some good signs from Friday night's loss. He said, "Hey, that team's really talented, and we've got to give credit where credit's due." All right, so we'll give credit to the Kickapoo Chiefs. Osage, they fell behind early 20-0 Friday against Southern Boone and eventually lost by a final score of 37-22. The Indians did get an exciting 75-yard punt return to the house from Brendan Pierce and also got scores on a 39-yard pass from Zach Wheeler to Britt McLaughlin with just 20 seconds left in the half, as well as a 5-yard run from Dylan Riley. But the Indians, that's all they'd get. They came into the ballgame averaging 180 yards on the ground, managed just 17 total rushing yards. That's 0.7 yards per carry after averaging 6.7 for the first 2 games. The Indians fell to 2-2 on this season and will have a tough test in LakeTV's Game of the Week this Friday when they travel to play the Versailles Tigers from Audrey J. Walton Sports Complex. And speaking of the mighty Versailles Tigers, Coach Silver's squad was rather impressive Friday night at Warsaw, allowing just 170 yards of total offense while forcing 4 turnovers on their way to a 46-14 blowout win. The Tigers ended their 2-game slide and leaned heavily on a balanced rushing attack. The Tigers were led by 2 century-yard rushers, Dalton Schmidt, who finished with over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Taylor Dobbins, who had 133 yards rushing and also caught one of 2 Dwayne Danner touchdown passes. The Tigers are now 2-2 on this season and will be featured in LakeTV's Game of the Week this Friday when they play host to the Indians of Osage. Last year, Osage laid it on the Tigers, winning by a final score of 64-6. However, head coach Brock Silvers believes both of these teams are far different than they were a year ago and is looking forward to getting a shot against the Indians on the Tigers' home turf. That game starts at 7 o'clock right here on the LakeTV network with the Burger Smokehouse game pregame show hitting the air at 6:30. You can watch on Como Channel 90, Charter Communications Channel 197, or streaming from any computer, tablet, or smartphone 24/7 at mylaketv.com. Don't forget, connect with us on Facebook or Twitter to keep up with the latest events around the lake. On behalf of LakeTV Sports, I'm William Holtz, and I'll see you in Versailles on Friday.